had a nice session on Skill Exchange last week about Adobe Commerce SaaS and our experience with migrating from PaaS to SaaS, not opposite way. And there was a bunch of questions, and there was a lot of questions then coming afterwards. So idea of our session today was try to answer those questions and also answer the questions if any of them will come during this meeting. I see we have not so many people here, but still. And then I will just kick it off. So I guess I have somewhere a list. Give me a second. So one of the questions was, what are the maximum number of sandbox environments come with the default CCS license? And I don't exactly know if it's a contracted, but as we started to work with a new customer, we received 3 environments. It was integration, staging, and production environment. They all works. I guess the staging and integration are on the same performance level. Production for sure, it's a bit another tier. But as our development process was before also matching the environment we received on Adobe Commerce Cloud, we had integration environment, we have staging, and we have production. And in this case, SaaS been provided also with the same 3 environments. And it makes sense, honestly. And it stayed the same all the time we're working afterwards. And also the whole migration process was done against all of those 3. First integration, then staged in production, and it was a workflow which Adobe made themselves because they mainly been responsible for the migration phase with support from our side. Good. By the way, I did say it straight away. If there are any questions appear, just drop them in the chat. You can also ask them like this after I will go through the list of questions I have. So up to you. Good. Could you move all custom features to SaaS, or you had an MVP with minimum set of such features? I guess this question we touched on the event itself. We touched on the event itself, and just to summarize it again, when we migrated SaaS to PaaS, we had to make the requirements list of everything we have on a PaaS with all modules list, with all extensions, features, functionalities we have there. Then we split them on a chunks with what do we really need, what we can skip or have to skip because business don't need them anymore, and what we have to migrate, whatever cost it will be. And in this case, we migrated then in the end everything, almost everything, by the reason that it's all was not so complicated to migrate, and only that was dropped. It's some functionality that natively been available on SaaS, and we don't need it anymore, or there's some modules which, by the effort of migration, is too heavy to migrate. So we decided that we don't need them. As example, it was products import. So the custom product imports, and we could say, okay, we can rely on the native Adobe Commerce importer and APIs which are available, and we don't need to rebuild everything. Then next one would be how the data migration, the catalog migration, site configuration can be moved from sandbox to production environment. I believe also we touched this a bit when we had a skill exchange, but overall you have to maintain it yourself. I mean, there are no native mechanisms to do the migrations of the config data. You cannot do it as before, I don't know, going from table to table, because on SaaS you have no access, no database access. So you need to reconfigure it again. When we made a live, so when we have a migration project before going live yet, we would need to, so we didn't make anything for these purposes because we had a migration from PaaS to integration, then migration from PaaS to staging, then migration from PaaS to production as a separate threads. It's all configs been taken then from PaaS before going live. Good. Pranav, I see you drop a question. Let me answer a question from a chat before I'll go on a list, because I guess it will be much more valuable for people who are with us today. So for last 5 years, I'm working as a client at a client location. So it's a telco project, huge integration. Now I'm seeing market is moving forward SaaS, mainly little opportunities or no opportunity for PaaS like that. Yeah. Okay, I mean, I don't know the project you're working on literally, but I can tell you for sure the complexer project is the heavier is to migrate it. And if you have a lot of customizations and features that business badly need, and you don't see the easy way to move it to SaaS, let's say, so let's give you an example. If you have some feature of on a PaaS which doing the order export, it can be quite simply delegated. You can make your order data from by the API and export it to a third-party system. That's something you can build as a microservice. You can use it as in a builder. You can use in a builder, build a module, and it's using APIs and export APIs. If you have a heavy customization which touching the core changes, you would high probably will not be able to easily shift them, and you need to sit with your business and make a decision if it's needed, and if it's yes, it is badly needed, if it's possible to build it as a microservice, because if you build it with Adobe Builder, you have access only to API levels, so to all APIs which Adobe Commerce provides, and you have access to the events, so which trigger it within Adobe Commerce. And the webhooks, sorry. You can also use the webhooks, and those are sometimes allowed you to modify the flow. So you can change the data flow. For example, you can change the pricing during the checkout process, out of the process. But if there are the features which business cannot live without, and I believe it's a big telco company, there have to be such. I doubt there are some features, so there are really less features and you stay with the core functionality. And if it's not possible to build as a microservice, unfortunately, then PaaS is not an option, I would say, at least not now. But to be sure, you have to list all the requirements and functionality you have and just go one by one to make this more or less decision-making metrics, I would say, where you define if you can move it or if you cannot move it. And in this way, basically, you can make your decision, because there's no simple answer on such a question without literally going deep into the project itself. Yeah, I hope it helped you a bit. Good. What else, Gabi, we have in our list? Oh yeah. What took longer, setting up the new infrastructure and the front end for the SaaS, or migrating the custom features? What took? I believe the building the front end against new SaaS was longest operation than migrating a custom features. For our case, we had not so many customizations, so we had about 3-4 modules we have to rebuild. We're using Adobe Builder. And honestly, for me as a backend developer, build the backend features, it's still much easier than to work with any kind of front ends. But also looking on the times we spent on the project itself, the front end took more time. And the reason is because, so the front end didn't change. The front end natively using and used Adobe IAM plus CIF components from Adobe. And they worked and built against Adobe Commerce PaaS before. So the Adobe Commerce Cloud solution means they rely on the endpoints which Adobe Commerce provides. When we started to make a migration, we received a new fresh SaaS instance. And by this instance, we also received everything which is SaaS coming with, and it's a catalog service, for example, and it's also a list of the deprecated endpoints which are not available anymore on SaaS, and it's also a list of the new endpoint that's provided by SaaS. So the main issue was, because the shop mainly used the catalog from the commerce, was to define those endpoints which have to be migrated. And as SaaS using only the catalog service and not rely on the standard GraphQL/products endpoint Adobe Commerce PaaS has, which also, by the way, works with the catalog service on PaaS, because it's just working as a proxy. On SaaS, it was not available at all. Means the whole front end have to be reworked against new endpoints, which took quite a lot of time because for the front end, you need to change the APIs, you need to change the body of requests, and so on and so on. So yeah, the front end took more time. I believe, again, if it will take some huge project which has huge amount of customizations, it all depends. So there are no like simple answer. Talent front end always will take more than backend. It really depends on the feature sets. And the last question I have in my list for now, what was the final estimation to migrate to SaaS? Let me try to recall it. I mean, that's can be two kinds of estimations. One of them is by timeline, how much time it's needed to complete the whole process. So not pure development time, but the time that required for like all calls, preparation, refinement, then development itself, then QA, then release, and all other stuff. And also the development time itself. I believe from development time for migration SaaS to PaaS, for changing the front end, like not redeveloping front end, but as I said before, changing the endpoints connections, keeping the front end the same, but changing APIs, how its data be retrieved, and then rebuilding kind of modules by using the Adobe Builder. I believe in total it was like 40 days plus minus. I would not commit exactly on this number, but just my gut feeling that it was approximately like this. Because before I made the skill exchange presentation, I was like prepared for this one, and I checked the numbers on our Jira. So if I'm not mistaken, it was in average for both, it was like 40 days. So yeah, that's a migration, the effort time. But timely, it took us, I guess, about 5 months. And the reason was still because it was the first migration project Adobe made in Europe. Adobe built the migration scripts. The migration scripts works in a manner that is migrating database to database, literally like value by value. So it's copy database from your PaaS instance into the cloud. And it's have to be shaped several times. I guess we have like 6-7 iterations for the whole this process. Then there was a lot of refinement session with the teams explaining, again, as I said before, the feature list, why do we need them, if you need them, and so on. So that's why the process took much longer. Okay, I have nothing in my list anymore, and I see that some people are joined. So if anybody has any questions, yes, Pavlo, thank you. So does SaaS actually reduce technical complexity, or does it mainly move that complexity from Magento internals into integration distributed systems? That's a good question. And I would say it can reduce technical complexity, but not so much as somebody may expect. So you basically moving a lot of into the architecture phase and discovery phase now, because you have to plan the whole your modules and the project itself and infrastructure around in a way that they will communicate together. So you plan on APIs level, you check in what you have, what you receive, where you have to send data, and so on and so on. And this basically given quite a very good landscape and architecture before you will start the initial development. But if you have a still custom logic and you have a complex logic within your business applications, you still need to develop and maintain it. So from this point of view, the technical complexity of single features are not much changing, but the complexity of the whole system, it's changing, like not directly, it's changing by the reason you have much more limitations. So you cannot change the core code anymore. You cannot do whatever you want to. Means your project is not still can become a monster after the years, but it's not become it straight away, because you still have to find a way how you can build something without changing the original product. So it's making a general maintainability much, much easier. But technically, it can be still quite complex projects, depends on the use cases you have. Okay. So, Rupak, thanks for the question. I'm new in Adobe Commerce SaaS. What is the best practice to integrate the SaaS stack like EDS, API Mesh, App Builder, and its CCS? It's quite a general question, and I would say to follow the best practice, the very good entry point would be to go to Adobe Docs and to understand the whole architecture about all those solutions, how they communicate together. Because so the SaaS, you usually when you start in the project with a SaaS, you just receiving an instance, you have APIs, and now you have to do something. And on my opinion, what a lot of people would do, they would ask currently basically the AI agents, hey, build me this one, and how can I build this one? My strong opinion, you need to know all possible feature sets and functionalities which those tools are providing. And the best case for that is still go to the documentation, or just, I guess, it's still go to the documentation. You can still talk to AI agent. I'm not sure if the answers will be always accurate. And the reason is for that whatever you then build later on, or doing it yourself, or doing it with a Claude, or whatever other AI system is, you still need to control what is it doing. And without having any knowledge about the tools, you will high probably rely on the AI outputs. Means you cannot control it. Means that you cannot guarantee the quality afterwards. So you still need to have a basic knowledge and understanding of. You don't need to develop all the stuff yourself. You need to know which possibilities you have, which use cases are better for another use cases, and that you can control and see the output from the architectural point of view. I hope I answered. So one more. Okay. Are there any AI agentic concepts involved in SaaS? Not as I know currently. I mean, you have as a developer, you can use Adobe tools for developing the applications and modules around your SaaS platform. So there is MCP service for Adobe Builder available. There are skill sets for Adobe Builder. There are skill sets for everything related to a Builder and API Mesh, like, for example, open telemetry skills and other stuff. That's for sure will help you in development process. And there are a lot of AI tools Adobe provides on top of the SaaS, which is not related to the, let's say, SaaS development itself. If you're talking about pure Adobe Commerce SaaS, there are no much AI agentic tools in it, but there are for sure a lot of AI tools which Adobe provides around it, which mostly helping you with the marketing, with the analyzing the traffics, and so on and so on. So for sure, that's something you can have a look into. It's looking complicated to manage in the single site from multiple dashboards. Yeah, it is. And I mean, the bigger project become, the more Adobe builders you have. Means you don't have now anymore as a developer. I mean, I was the Magento Adobe Commerce developer. It's very nice when you have a single repo, you have a single project, you know what's going on there, you see all communications inside, everything looks fine. As a developer, if you, let's say, started this project, maintain it, and working with it. With a builder, it's a bit much more wide. You need to document it well. That's maybe one advice I can give, because you may have a lot of modules around. You can have a lot of APIs, service layers, and so on. And so there will be different entry points to those. And I see you dropped the comment like, CCS backend, document authoring for content, site tools, to API to manage configuration, a builder portal, and all the stuff. Yes. Unfortunately, it is so. Maybe somebody from Adobe can listen to those wishes and put it somewhere on the single place. But by the way, they're already doing it. I mean, if you go into Experience Portal, you may have Adobe Commerce and Adobe Builder application in single place. Don't forget to publish your Adobe Builder application, so not just develop them. Because when you develop a builder app, you can develop it, put it in production workspace, and keep it running, and it will work fine there. But don't forget to publish it, because then you can see it within your organization, so it's much easier than to find it later on, rather than explain that, hey, you have to go to Dev Console, find the module there, and so on. But yeah, I mean, it can be complicated on a first view. If you're working with this for some time, you will have some kind of understanding where to look for what. But what is really important is to have the documentation for your project, where you can see all parties and all system which involves together in the whole this process. Yep, welcome. Okay, don't see any questions more. Maybe somebody, I can wait a bit. Yeah, Pavlo, thanks. If you were starting a highly customized Adobe Commerce project today, knowing that it might migrate to SaaS in 2 years, what will you deliverably not build the traditional Magento way? Almost everything. What I would do, I would, when start to develop the particular feature, I would ask myself the question, can I build it with Adobe Builder straight away? So like no doubts. And if a direct answer is yes, I would just do it. And that's what we're already doing on a lot of projects. If I would say not on all new projects, mostly we're trying to follow this approach. If it's buildable on Adobe Builder, then do it straight away there. By the same reason, because if the customer will decide to migrate to SaaS, it will be cheaper for him, so the price tags will be lower. From another point of view, it's a new Adobe stack, and it's, as for me, it's much easier. So it's heavily influencing the maintenance of the whole project. So I would recommend just directly to do it. If it's not directly possible to do it, I would do it for now on Adobe Commerce. I'm not a fan of the hybrid approach. There are possible the hybrid approach when you can build something on Adobe Commerce to provide, for example, some API endpoints, and then you build Adobe Builder with consumer API endpoints and doing some business logic. This approach officially exists and officially can be used. I'm not a fan of it, because now you're not only maintaining modules in different locations, you're maintaining the single module in different locations, which makes it much more complicated. Also, if you're talking about the future where we possibly will migrate to SaaS, that's not helping us much, because we still have this part which is hanging on the Magento, Adobe Commerce, which still have to modify or get rid somehow. And if you're not doing it now, then why it have to be easier later? So that would make them then this separation straight away. And for sure, when you will plan to migrate in SaaS in 2 years, first of all, a lot of may change. Second one, there can be new extensions and patterns appeared, which will make your life easier. Maybe they will not, nobody knows, but at least there is a slight chance. Okay. Any more questions? I'm curious if anybody here already worked with SaaS. Looking on an empty chat, I guess not really, right? Okay. Yeah. Now I will ask question to Gabi if she knows how many SaaS projects are already live with Adobe, but I guess you're not prepared to this question. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, Pavlo, thanks for one more question. 5 years from now, do you expect Adobe Commerce developers still be the distinct specialization, or will they almost like a cloud integrate? Yes, I guess the second one, honestly. I already can see it on the project we currently just starting, which first of all involve EDS, even if it's not SaaS. So we have project where we're starting on a standard Adobe Commerce on premise, not on premise, but Adobe Commerce as a cloud. But for example, with EDS, EDS given their own limitation that we need to use catalog services. Then we have a lot of customers who want to try different Adobe features, LLM optimizer, and means we need to be as closer to the native stack as possible. And the developers not anymore already only developing, let's say, the PHP code. A builder is another tech stack. I mean, it's a JavaScript. You need to learn something new. Then you have EDS, which is also JavaScript, but looks like we need to start to learn the CSS now. So I hope not. But yeah, so basically answering your question, in 5 years, I guess definitely there will be more an engineering work, like an architect engineer, especially looking on AI development. I don't know, agent orchestrator, name it as you want. But yeah, so it will definitely change. Thanks for the question. That's quite a nice one. Okay. Anything else? Okay. I mean, if there are no more questions, yeah, SaaS roadmap. No idea, honestly, about the SaaS roadmap. I guess it's not anywhere documented even. Never saw it. Because, I mean, the main point why I'm saying no idea, I built a tool which crawl in the release notes of the SaaS because they're totally isolated from the PaaS release notes. And on my surprise, the SaaS doing new releases every month, approximately, sometimes even twice per month, which is not much announced. There are coming new features, bug fixing, and there are no visible roadmap at all. I hope it will appear in the future, because in my honest opinion, SaaS now is an intensive develop phase. Means I believe it's more really depends on the customer needs, because a lot of customers started to adopt SaaS and then they started to come with their own requirements and own needs. And that one I see also by our customer, when during this relaunch phase, we had discussions with Adobe that, hey, we need this part or this part, and Adobe actively like prioritize those issues and those features to be delivered. So, and in my opinion, maybe that's not true. And maybe somebody from Adobe who's watching us will tell me, no, we have a strict roadmap. But I have a feeling that their roadmap now depends on the customer needs. Means it's not strictly defined. No, I didn't. We're not using them anymore. Honestly, we even like our level of a multi-model usage for us, it's really low now. Because we're starting to more also look into the, let's say, if we can build something with Adobe Builder, then we don't need third-party providers. It's usually faster, but no. That's fortunately for Master Special Promotions Pro not. And I'm even not sure you can build it with a builder. I mean, you can modify prices and apply discounts with a builder for the custom checkout. So maybe you can. Maybe you can. I need to have a look on the feature list. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can. I think Nishan was talking about that.
Okay.
It will be part of module which would be listed on Marketplace. But
Okay.
I can't see it on Marketplace yet, so hopefully that will come one day.
Okay. Yeah, I believe more modules will start to appear soon. I mean, they're already I don't know how many is currently, but I believe much more than it was a year ago.
Yeah, I understand.
86 Adobe Builder modules. Okay, they're not commerce related. I'm wrong. 60, exactly 60 Adobe Builder modules for commerce currently available. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or topics? We can discuss something easy. Okay, then I guess if nothing will pop up while I'm talking, then we can wrap it up, right, Gabi? Yeah. Thanks a lot for everybody who joined, even if there are not so many. So that's always the best people that join in. Thanks a lot for your time, and yeah, we will see each other definitely somewhere in the future.
Thanks, Alex. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Always happy.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. See you. Bye.